Hey guys, MCU Collect here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Amazon exclusive Thor God of Thunder Gorr the God Butcher. And this is a pretty good figure. A couple of things that I do want to address with this figure is the box does show pinless elbows and pinless knees. This was addressed at the time when the figure was first revealed. They revealed the figure without the packaging, and then once the packaging came out, everyone noticed that the packaging shows pins, pinless, but then the figure actually has pins. This is just one of those times where Hasbro really messed up and they put wrong or incorrect artwork or misleading artwork on the package, and unfortunately he has pins. The good thing is the pins are the same exact color as all the spots in the where they are, so it's not like we see a different color on one end or anything like that. So it doesn't hurt it in the long run, I guess, but it does suck that yes, he does have pins, but it's not that big of a deal because the colors are the same, at least for me anyway. Digital render there on the side, then another digital render on the back, and you can see that in terms of accessories, he comes with an additional head sculpt, an additional hand. So out of the package, he actually comes with the hooded head sculpt on. I popped it off and put the other one on, and then he also has the two regular hands, but then I put the Necro Sword all black on his right hand just for the pose. But let's get in for a closer look at this figure because there's some really cool things on there, but then there's also something really disappointing where I think Hasbro kind of went the easy way, and it's kind of unfortunate. So it just kind of depends. So I looked up a bunch of artwork. I have the Marvel Unlimited subscription, so I went through, you know, the issues that Gorr appeared in, and it's kind of hit and miss on the artwork on kind of how his leg is. So a lot of times the way you would look at it is he would kind of go like stand on his toes, I guess, to where like his foot should be like this, where and then his toes should come outward, because there's like this bend over here, almost like another extra joint. They didn't do that on the figure, and it's kind of disappointing that they didn't, but then it's also kind of confusing because again, not in a lot of the artwork, he's not really depicted as having his legs like that. But you know, it's pretty clear on some, and then it's not clear on others. So that part's actually a little disappointing. But the overall aesthetic of the figure looks really good. The head sculpts are fantastic. They're really, really nice. So let's get in for a close look at those first. We'll look at the whole figure, and then we'll check out his articulation. Okay, so this is the head sculpt without the hood, and again, pretty crazy looking there with his yellow eyes, and then he has like the dark red around his eyes and everything. You can see those gray lines throughout. The sculpt of it is pretty awesome, like the little wrinkles and everything around his mouth, his lips right there, his chin, everything about it. Just Hasbro killed it. They did a really good job here. And then I don't know what these would be called, but these, you know, kind of come out of his head. You can see they put in a little bit of like this pinkish color throughout there on the other end as well. They're not bendy wire. They don't really move around or anything like that. So you kind of have to work, you know, one on the back, one in the front. And this head sculpt is a little bit harder to pop on because of that. And the torso is on a disc, not disc hinge, a dumbbell joint. So I was trying to think of which body this was, and I was thinking, oh, it's, you know, it's probably the Capwolf or Grim Reaper body mold. At least I think the shoulders and the arms probably are, and I think the legs actually. The torso, though, I'm not sure which the torso is since it has the dumbbell joint, which is kind of a newer thing that that Hasbro does. But looking at the back of the figure there, we get these weird looking spine. A little bit of black, but not a whole lot really throughout the back of the figure. A little bit on the back leg there, on the side, and everything. And then you get these little spots where you kind of get these pinkish spots in some areas. Those look really, really, really good. Looking at his feet there, again, these should be like hind feet or whatever you call it. So it should be a longer foot, and then the toes should be kind of out. So it should be like that, and then the toes go that way, but, you know, again, they didn't do that. But looking at the Necro Sword, this is really cool, the way they did it. It's actually, and the accessory piece, it's actually his hand, so you can see the hand there, and it pops onto the wrist, and you have the kind of the symbiote goo there, and then you can see the sword. It's very soft and pliable, though. Like, it's That's like straight rubber. But it works out well, and you can still see like all 5 fingers and everything kind of throughout. That looks really good. Then he has a normal hand, as you can see there. So let's go ahead and pop this hand on there. So you have the 2 hands. The cape and stuff kind of has these crazy flows to it, as you can see there. All looks really good. It doesn't secure onto the figure or anything. You just kind of put it over the neck and let it rest there. And then we have the hooded head sculpt, and this one is really nice. As you can see, you really have to force that head sculpt on there a little bit, but you get on there and it makes it look like the hood is all part of that. It doesn't break it up or anything, but here we kind of have the more relaxed face, and that is really good. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer. Okay, yeah, there we go. Look at the head sculpt, the face there. That just came out looking really good. And the digital face print for those gray lines and the eyes and the lips and everything, that just looks really good. Very detailed. They did a great job there on that head sculpt. Okay, so now let's zoom out for his articulation. Okay, so Gorr's articulation, the head, you're going to do a full swivel, and there should be some pivot in there, but the hood's obviously going to kind of get in the way of that. In terms of looking up and looking down, though, it's really non-existent on this hooded head. You can try to point it down a little bit, but it's really not going to stay on there, so that's a little unfortunate. While I'm at it, let's pop that one off, and let's get this one back on to see the movement there. But again, you have to work these tentacle ear things or whatever they are. Not ears, because he has ears. But this one's definitely harder to pop on. And then it gets tricky because of how this fits over the cape. Sometimes it wants to turn the head a little bit. So you have to work with it. But there you kind of get some neck pivot going on with this head sculpt. Rotation's a little bit trickier because those things really get in the way. Looking up, dumbbell joint, you're not going to get a whole lot. And then looking down, kind of the same thing there. The shoulders, you get the shoulder ball cut out that far. Can do a full rotation in there, of course. Upper bicep swivel, double jointed pinned elbows, so unfortunately they messed up. He does have pins, wrists swivel, and they do hinge. The Necro Sword hand does not hinge, it would just swivel around on that wrist. We have an ab crunch on this guy, so he can crunch forward that much. He can crunch back a little bit, but that cape does get in the way, as you could see there. We do have the waist swivel in there. Legs go out that far apart. That is pretty good. Looks like the left leg a little bit more than the right. He can kick forward really high. That is really good. Leg doesn't really go back a whole lot. Upper thigh cut in there. Pinned double jointed knee. You get that much bend at the knee. You do get a calf swivel in there, and this again would have been a perfect time to have that different lower leg and foot combination that they could have done, but again Hasbro kind of went the easy way out. So swivel at the calf, foot hinges all the way down, you get a little bit of hinge up, ankle pivot, no peg holes at the bottom of these feet. So that is unfortunate, but the feet are sculpted pretty nicely though, at least. As you can see there, and we actually get the nails painted black. That one looks like it missed the mark a little bit on mine. Not that big of a deal. But the other one looks pretty good. But now let's see Gorr next to Thor. Okay, and here is the Thor God of Thunder figure. This one was all the way back in the All-Father wave. Years ago, from the 2013 run of Thor God of Thunder, in which Gorr the God Butcher had first appeared, and you can see the size difference there. Actually looks pretty good. Now Gorr looks kind of small next to Thor, but remember this Thor is a big ass figure, so this Gorr figure is not small at all. So to throw in a little bit of a size comparison, I have a Bucky Cap Cyclops here, so you can see how big Gorr really is, you know, compared to other 6-inch figures. So he's not small by any means. I mean, he even looks large next to Avalanche, and Avalanche is a bit of a beefier figure. So the Gorr figure is not at all like a small figure or anything like that. Look up the modular Iron Man, it still looks pretty small next to Gorr. So Gorr actually has a pretty damn good size, but I think it works out real well again with, the size comparison with these two figures. It's pretty crazy that we got Thor from back then. I wonder why they didn't do Gorr until now. Besides the Love and Thunder tie-in, obviously that's why they would release it now. But you think they would have done a figure, back then. It's probably best that they didn't, because figures weren't as good then. They definitely have improved since then. So, maybe we lucked out in that sense. Okay, and here is Gorr next to Gorr, the MCU Thor Love and Thunder version. I think Christian Bale did a great job. The problem that I had with the movie is they put in too much stupid comedy. Like, it just wasn't even funny. Like, Korg's face on the back of Valkyrie's head, like, oh, come on. Like, that movie just kind of pissed me off. I've only watched it once all the way through. I've tried watching it again, and I just have a hard time getting through it. But Christian Bale's performance as Gorr, I thought, was really good. The problem, again, was the other stuff of the movie. Gorr didn't get enough screen time. They didn't flesh out enough of story for him. Like, we see him kill one god. We know he's killed a bunch. But we didn't see him kill any other ones, and I think that would have really helped a long way in terms of his story. It would have just added additional layers to it and brought more to him, and maybe made him scarier, made him seem like more of a threat. And we didn't get that, unfortunately. And then you could see that the MCU, they obviously went with a very different design. The whole no nose thing on a human would have looked more like Voldemort. I think they came out and kind of said that. Comic book form, it would look great, but they would have had to really CGI his whole head shape and everything like that to really give it that look. So it's unfortunate. Again, I did like Gorr's not Christian Bale's acting, but in terms of his look and stuff, compared to the comic, just wasn't quite there, wasn't as good, and for a phase where they've done a lot of comic book accurate looks, Gorr definitely wasn't it. Okay, that is my review of Gorr the God Butcher, the Amazon exclusive. I'll have a affiliate link in the description below. Last I know, this figure is sold out, so keep an eye on that link. Maybe additional restocks will happen with Amazon. But I do think this is actually a pretty good release. I like the Necro Sword all black as being part of the hand. The head sculpts look fantastic. I don't mind the pins. It absolutely sucks that the package would show pinless, and then we don't actually get a pinless figure. This isn't something that's going to show up in stores. It's one of those online things, and plastic free packaging. It's nobody's going to get duped into buying it, seeing it on a shelf or anything like that. It is bullshit. Before everyone goes, oh, you're just defending Hasbro. Like, I get it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me in the fact that they came out and said, hey, we messed up. That's why we showed the figure first and not the package, to we show that it is in fact have pins, and then when we saw the package, and everyone gets an uproar. But they announced the figure first. I know not everyone knows that, not everyone sees that, but that is the case of what happened. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this Gorr figure? Is it one that you're going to be picking up and adding to your collection? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.